let's know if there's another name they call that thing they call antimatter. You know, I was explaining earlier and I said antimatter is nothing but just demons. There's no other way to explain it. Demonic energy. That's what they call antimatter. But let's see what else they call it.
This antimatter is also called dark matter. And dark matter has energy attached to it. And the energy affects people. It affects them. And remember, when you produce antimatter, you got to contain it. Because if you don't contain it, you got to contain it. That's the biggest problem, containing it. Because if you don't contain it, it just goes wild.
Okay, so antimatter is also dark matter. You see that? What you call antimatter, I want to be able to say it that way. Antimatter is the same thing as dark matter. And this dark matter possesses a lot of energies. And the energy has effects on people. It impacts on people. And when it has effects on people, when it gets in contact with people, what happens? All those people begin to act weird. Tell me what that actually points to in Christianity. Demonic possession. That's why Large Hadron Collider, LHC, at CERN was featured in the movie Angels and Demons. Many people got to know about it from that movie actually for the first time. Angels and demons, dark. They use the word dark. What else do you want them to tell you? How else do you want them to explain this for you to know that they are talking about the enemy of our souls? Dark matter, dark energy, all of these things, dark. How much closer can they even come to the truth? See the names they gave it. Antimatter, dark matter, Higgs field, Higgs boson. You know, they created something in science that is called the standard model. Anything that has to do with sciences now, you have to go with standard model. The standard model divides particles into two different forms. You have the fermions and you have the bosons, okay? And I want you to listen to someone explain the standard model and explain what the fermions are and what the bosons are. And in all this, I want to help you understand that this is only an attempt by the scientists to make evil look good so that it is buyable.
Physics of the 20th century has developed a theory, the Standard Model. This theory is the reference model because it holds and describes all the particles and interactions discovered so far in our universe. And over the years, it has been able to predict many other particles that have not been discovered yet, proving to be a reliable and consistent theory. The Standard Model divides particles into two big groups, fermions and bosons. Broadly speaking, we can say that fermions are the particles that form the matter we know, protons, neutrons, and electrons. Bosons, on the other hand, are carrying interaction particles and are responsible for the existence of forces, such as nuclear or electromagnetic force.
So the fermions are the particles that make up the matter that we know. Okay? The protons, the neutrons, the electrons, and all of that. But then what are the bosons? Let's find out what the bosons are.
Fermions are the particles that form the matter we know, protons, neutrons, and electrons. Bosons, on the other hand, are carrying interaction particles and are responsible for the existence of forces, such as nuclear or electromagnetic force.
Bosons carry interaction particles and are responsible for forces. The forces of darkness, interaction. Where have you heard that before? You've seen people who want to interact with the people with forces from the other side. Bosons. Remember what I told you about the bosons? The bosons are supposed to be the ones that give mass to all of us. God forbid. My mass came from the Most High God. He made man and he made me. But bosons to them is what give mass. But guess what? The bosons actually is here to give mass to the antimatter, to the demonic entities. Bosons carry forces. Let me play it again so you don't miss this point, please. Fermions they give birth to the matter that we know, proton, electron, neutron. But bosons.
Bosons, on the other hand, are carrying interaction particles and are responsible for the existence of forces, such as nuclear or electromagnetic force.
They are responsible for the existence of what? Forces, such as nuclear and what again? Electromagnetic. Bosons are responsible. They give birth to electromagnetic force. What did I tell you about the demonic energy? The demonic energy come into our world as electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force or energy. That's why if you go on YouTube and Google ghost hunting and EMF, electromagnetic frequency, EMF, you will see videos. They have to use that to detect them. The bosons. And bosons was something that was discovered by a man called Peter Higgs.
What is the Higgs boson?
It means just the lowest energy state that you can possibly have in which there are no particles around, but there may be something around, and that something around can be a background field of some sort, which pervades the universe. So in this theory, there is such a background field, and the background field, in interaction with all the other stuff which goes through it, is responsible for generating the masses and mass differences of the other particles, elementary particles, the ones which are packages of energy of all the other fields, simply because the background affects the way the waves propagate. But then the field itself can be excited or classically to give you waves, and the packages of energy of that are the Higgs boson. So it's an extra which comes with this type of theory, that you need to have something there which is the excitation of the background field.
These are things that we already know from the scriptures, and they get one man and get and name the stuff after the man, and now you have Higgs field and then Higgs boson. And when they said, oh, we've discovered it from the collision that happened at LHC, Higgs himself was there in the crowd and he was crying and wiping tears, very emotional. Oh my gosh, oh no, this has come through after so many years, because he started this journey in the 1960s and got to a point where the Large Hadron Collider would then show them that Higgs really does exist. The Higgs field exists, and the only way they know it exists is because now they've discovered the Higgs bosons. Fermions and bosons. Can you imagine that? One carries the natural matter that we are all used to, that we know, and the next one carries interaction, and it gives rise to electromagnetic force and nuclear forces. When you see nuclear forces, bombs exploding and all these things, these are all from the pit of hell. They are demonic energies that are harnessed and put inside explosives. Look, it is right in front of us.
95% of the universe is made up of entities that scientists have called dark. These are forms of matter and energy that we can't detect or measure in the current state of knowledge. We only know that they exist thanks to the indirect effect that they produce in the universe. These entities are dark matter and dark energy.
About 95% of our universe. Nobody can detect them in the current state of knowledge of humanity. And they are called dark. And the guy said they are bizarre forms of energies and matter. Bizarre. They can't detect them. And they call them dark. in our world. The whole world is filled with darkness. Woe unto ye, O earth! Satan all over the place. This dark they're talking about is demonic energy. That's why Hollywood musician Kesha, she once admitted that she was having sex with some type of energy.
I lived in a house, and there was an energy there that is very sexual, dark, mysterious, magnetic. And one night he just made a move.
Right.
And then I was living in this place for a couple months, and it was really bizarre and hot. But then I decided, I was like, I need to probably move out. In the day that I was moving out, I found a snake under my pillow. They just love to with me.
Demonic energy. When demons show up, they come in the form of electromagnetic energy, electromagnetic force. So people use electromagnetic frequency detectors to detect them, and you hear them, you hear the voice, all those things happen. They come in that form. These things are spirit. This is Spiritism 101, but it has been repackaged as physics and science, and is being sold to us. I want to take you on a journey. Keep following me, please. Don't stop. Let's go further so you can see more about how these people are telling us what we already know, but saying it in a different way and calling it different names.
Today's mass and energy are distant, but there was a time at the dawn of the universe when temperature and density were so high that matter and radiation were trapped within a primordial broth, fused together almost indistinguishable in magma at thermodynamic equilibrium, in which the transformation of matter into energy and the energy in matter continuously took place. This was the time of the early universe, when the most interesting and mysterious happenings occurred: the birth of matter and of fundamental particles and forces that dominate the universe, the disappearance of antimatter in favor of matter, the birth of light, and many others.
He is talking about the time when darkness took over the entire place, the entire horizon. He was talking about the time before God came to say, let there be light. And God created man and made man and formed man. And look at the way he described it. Please stay with me. I want to play this line again. This is how he described it.
This was the time of the early universe, when the most interesting and mysterious happenings occurred.
When the most interesting and mysterious happenings occurred. What are those most interesting and mysterious happenings that occurred? Let's listen to them one after the other. He mentioned three. Listen.
The birth of matter.
The birth of matter was what? When you and I were created by the Most High God, and He created everything. That is the matter that they are talking about. He created the animals, the trees, and the man, and everything, and the garden. The birth of matter. Those were the things that God did when He okay, listen more.
And of fundamental particles and forces that dominate the universe.
The fundamental particles and forces that dominate the universe. God made this earth custom made for mankind. The energy emitted by man took over and dominated. That's why He said, take dominion. Increase, multiply, take dominion. The dominionness of mankind is what they are describing in sciences in a different way.
The disappearance of antimatter.
The disappearance of what? Antimatter. The disappearance of hell, of demons. God moved them from this plane into a different plane, which is the pit of hell. Listen more.
The birth of light, and many others.
The disappearance of antimatter in favor of matter. God took them and pushed them in the pit of hell and let matter that He created to stay on the earth that He created for this matter. And then the third one, He said, and the birth of light. Remember what I told you when the Bible says, let there be light, and there was light. What did all these things do? Before these things happened, What did this guy say was the nature and the state of our world? I'll play that again. Listen, just listen to this.
There was a time at the dawn of the universe when temperature and density were so high that matter and radiation were trapped within a primordial broth, fused together, almost indistinguishable, in magma at thermodynamic equilibrium.
When matter and radiation were trapped together, when matter and radiation trapped together, what do you get? That is a perfect description of hell. Our earth was the place of hell, place of deep, unimaginable darkness before God came and created matter. Matter is everything that came out of God's creative activity, including man, animals, trees, plants, everything. He created matter in favor of antimatter and then pushed antimatter back down to the pit of hell. And then he gave us dominion, the energy that pervaded everywhere. And then he created light. He is describing to you that these were the things, they call them interesting, mysterious occurrences that happened. Because scientists are still wondering, how come if matter should have antimatter, if proton should have antiproton, if electron should have anti-electron, which is called positron, if all these things have opposites, like you have up and there is down, the other universe that is anti this universe is upside down. As our time clock goes like this, the time over there goes backwards. When you go there, you're going backwards. When you are here, you're moving forward. So if all this happened, how come in this world that there is only matter that exists and is seen everywhere? The antimatter is supposed to also have the same equal representation, but they should also have mass. And the mass they have means that they are going to have body. So what they are doing now is that by this proton colliding that they do at CERN, they believe that the Higgs boson will give mass to these particles that are meant to stay in the hell, in the pit of hell. So before you know it, in time to come, not even too distant from now, you're going to see demonic entities working with real bodies in our world. And these are the armies that will fight against God in the battle of Armageddon. Long journey, huh? And many people think we are still too far away from the final destination of the destruction of this world that has become so evil. But we're here already, we're here now. While they're busy working to manipulate your DNA and do all kinds of stuff, they are working on releasing antimatter, demonic energies that they can actually carry. They can now contain it like the way you contain gas. And you just come to a particular location. If that one they took to a college could cause such mayhem, people were being possessed, ghosts were appearing, apparitions everywhere, things were... Imagine if they can take just a little bit of this and send it somewhere and keep it in one location in Nigeria or somewhere in Ghana or go to different countries and just drop it. People will just wake up and begin to massacre themselves, massacre, killings everywhere. People will just lose their minds. People who do not have the seal of the Most High God. That's what the Bible says in Ephesians chapter 4 verse 30. You must not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, because it is him with which we are sealed unto the day of redemption. If you look at that book we read, that chapter we read in Revelation chapter 9, it says they are given power to torment for 5 months people who do not have the seal of God on them. When they have taken away your consciousness, manipulated your DNA and turned you into a robot, do you still have the seal of God? See why we need to be extremely careful. This stuff is deeper than meets the eyes. I want us to move forward so I can prove a lot more to you.
We're not allowed to peek beyond the period of decoupling because electromagnetic radiation is said was trapped in that primordial broth and had no way to escape. We can only reproduce energy, temperature, and density conditions of the early universe in particle accelerators, making various types of particles colliding at very high energy, hoping to detect for a statistically significant number of times the presence of physical objects never seen before.
So, to further buttress the fact of what I've been trying to get across to you here, I'm going to take this very clip again, one by one, to help you understand what these people are describing in the book of Genesis. Now, he's saying that we are not allowed to gain access to what happened back in those days. Let me play this again so I can help you understand it better.
We're not allowed to peek beyond the period of decoupling because electromagnetic radiation, as said, was trapped in that primordial broth and had no way to escape.
So they're not allowed to peek beyond the time of decoupling because electromagnetic radiation. What is the electromagnetic radiation that is trapped in that primordial broth? Do you know what it is? It is the power of Satan in the pit of hell. Electromagnetic, I keep saying this to you, the demonic energy appears to us here as electromagnetic force. He said they were trapped when God separated light from darkness, which I just explained. They went and confined them to the pit of hell. This scientist here is telling you that we're not allowed to go beyond that time to actually get what is going on. But the only thing they can do now is to actually collide particles so that they can recreate the condition of what the earth was before God came and restored it when he said God made man. So they don't want what when you look at CERN in Switzerland, CERN's purpose is to recreate what the world was when God had destroyed it before he now came to redeem and restore it in Genesis chapter 1.
We can only reproduce energy, temperature, and density conditions of the early universe in particle accelerators, making various types of particles colliding at very high energy, hoping to detect for a statistically significant number of times the presence of physical objects never seen before.
Oh, the presence of physical objects never seen before. Particle accelerators at very, very high energies colliding so they can detect the presence of physical objects never seen before. The Higgs boson that is going to be used to give mass, physical body to these demonic entities. Do you see everything I'm telling you how it's coming? You see it here? They want to be able to detect physical. That's why some of the ones they've done already, they saw faces, demonic faces manifesting.